The British, after landing, had just stormed across the causeway, with the entire force landing and fully assembled. They swung to their left, hoping to take the town and dockyard from the landward side. But the American regulars with some field muskets gave ground only slowly. They fell back behind their blockhouses and defenses, where they repulsed every British attempt to storm their fortifications. The problem was none of the larger British vessels were brought into range to support the attack. Eventually, one British ship, the Beresford, mounting 16 cannons, worked close to use sweeps, or their oars. They fired, and quickly drove the Americans back to Fort Tompkins. At this point, the British General Prevost was convinced that success was impossible to obtain. He didn't think that he could breach the American defenses. The militia under General Brown and the Americans had rallied and were attacking on the right flank and the rear, so the British gave the order to retreat. For the British, a revised account given by Patrick Wilder states that they had 30 casualties, 200 wounded, and they had left 35 wounded prisoners for the Americans to take care of. On the American side, there was no count for the militia, but taking into account the battle at Henderson Bay on May 28th, and here at Sackets on the 29th, there was about 153 killed and wounded, and 154 taken prisoner. Although at one point the ship, the General Pike, had been set on fire, since it was constructed from green wood, it didn't burn very well, and the Americans were able to salvage the ship. The news of the British assault caused Commodore Chauncey to recall his entire squadron to Sackets Harbor until the General Pike was completed, leaving the American army on Niagara Peninsula without support. Jacob Brown was rewarded for his part in the victory at Sackets Harbor with a regular commission as Brigadier General in the United States Army. For several months, the fighting on and around Lake Ontario was a stalemate, until the General Pike heavily damaged one of the British flagships, the Wolf, in an engagement off of York on the 28th of September. The British withdrew to Burlington Bay and conceded control of the lake for the remainder of the year. I hope you enjoyed this little mini-series on the battles at Sackets Harbor. I just thought it was really important to tell this story because I cleaned so many of the service members that were in the War of 1812. As always, thanks for watching.